Everybody, it's Carm Capriato, Town Hall Academy, episode 193. A long overdue episode that we have going on here. It's Apprentice Stories. And let me jump in as quickly as I can and talk to you about why we need to do apprentice programs here. Okay. And where is my I know what I'm doing wrong. There is what I'm doing right or wrong. Listen, apprentices is a trending topic. I just heard a great webinar this week about the value and the power of apprenticing. We're responsible for building our own benches, and there's great apprentice programs available in the aftermarket. An example of the apprentices and currently now technicians that we're going to talk to. And if we don't create our own sustainability, we're going to be constantly robbing from Peter to pay Paul. A lot of discussion in the media on skilled trades. Pick up a newspaper or a magazine. Skilled trades really is on fire, and we need to help change the perception. I've done shows on apprentices, and I want to point out three very critical ones. We just recently did podcast episode, Apprentice Grow Your Own Technicians, and it was all about the NAPA program and McNeil's Automotive. That was Town Hall Academy 185. We also actually spoke to some college apprentices that were going through it in RR 482. But down to Remarkable Results 335, Build Your Own Apprentice Program with Dwayne Myers. That was a great one in his business dynamic in the state of Maryland. And it started out back in episode 94, which was, I think, maybe 4 years ago when Mike Davidson came on and talked about his approved Department of Labor apprentice plan. And we have two of his people on with us. So I really want to thank them for being here. Here is my team. And I think what I should do is get ready to introduce this great team of mine. But first, the show is possible because we have two great supporters of the show. Number one, do you know what is as easy as 1, 2, 3? Well, Shopware's shop management system allows customers to review, approve, and pay for repairs all in one place. Keep your staff and your customers safe while maintaining profits and keeping your customers happy. Learn more at getshopware.com. And my great friends at shopmarketingpros.com, that was easy for me to say. Does your social media truly represent your shop, or is it just giving you plain vanilla stuff? It doesn't have to be that way. Now, the experts at Shop Marketing Pros listen, and they create social content that connects you to your community on the web at shopmarketingpros.com. Hey, guys, so glad you're here. I think we may have had a technical glitch in the beginning, but I think we're okay. I'd like to introduce you to Rex Lee. Rex works at McNeil's Auto Care in Sandy, Utah. 2 locations, right?
Yep. Just opened a second location in Riverton.
And that's where you're working?
Yep.
And you're currently a mentor?
Yep. I mentoring one apprentice right now. So.
And you were an apprentice? I
was.
We got to talk about that. That's great. And I believe you were the first graduate, and of course you went on to get your ASE Master Technician status.
Yeah, absolutely. And 10 years working for McNeil's Auto Care through the partnership of McNeil's and NAPA, was able to get my apprenticeship done and Master Tech.
So happy for you, man. That's great. We want to talk more about that. You're a great example. All of you are great examples for our industry. Bryan Stafford's here from Parkway Automotive, Little Rock, Arkansas, ASE certified L1 advanced level specialist. And you're also currently a mentor?
Yes, sir, I am.
Did you go through the apprentice program?
We didn't have the apprentice program available to me when I started at Parkway Automotive, but I went through something very similar. It just wasn't as structured as what we're doing here.
Cool. Good. Glad to hear that. We care so much about your perspective as a mentor. Bryan, thanks for being here. Elijah is here. Elijah Pierce from Davidson. It works at Parkway Automotive, also along with Bryan, a graduate of the apprentice program. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. ASE certified technician. Glad to have you here. I just want you all to think about what we've been saying when we say ASE. It's such an incredible part and parcel to any great apprentice program. Okay. Did I get everything done that I had to today since we were working on some technical glitches? I think we are. So glad to have everyone here. Let's start out. Rex, let me start with you. With limited mechanical skills, I think you came on to McNeil's and you worked as maybe a helper in like a quick start position, and then of course I want to know what motivated you to want to go through the program.
Well, changing oil and doing kind of the tires, the quick service. It's limited. You know what you're going to get when you show up to work. You're only going to be doing certain things. You're not going to be able to grow. And there was no motivation really to learn more on automotive when you felt like you were only going to go to work and do certain things. And through the apprenticeship program, it kind of opened the door and started collecting tools and the training, most importantly, and started learning more.
So when did you realize, Rex, that you had this innate ability to want to work with your hands and wanted to learn more and more and more? I mean, when did it hit you?
Well, that's a good question. I would say my first car, my parents didn't teach me anything about automotive maintenance or anything. So my parents gave me a car. I didn't change the oil on it at all and probably went 15,000 miles and blew the engine. And
Wait a minute, there's an awful lot of people smiling on this show and in the audience.
Yeah. So just through, I wanted to know more. So instead of knowing nothing about vehicles, I went from that to where I'm at now. And just so something like that doesn't happen again,
Got it. Thanks so much. And please, anytime any of you hear something like that and you want to jump in and contribute and say, "Oh, I've been there, done that," I'm so cool with it, guys. Elijah, you have to have a special attitude in order to jump in and get involved and stay with an apprentice program?
Right. I think you do. I think the words that I would use is like passion and motivation. Even from the very beginning, I would in the morning and love going to work at Parkway, wonder what I'm going to learn new today. You just have to always constantly be pushing forward, be growing, and really just enjoy what you do, I think. And kind of take every day as a challenge. You have to be ready to take those challenges as they come, because it's not easy. Getting in, it was like you just got hit by a freight train of all this information that you're just being thrown at you, and you've got to enjoy that to still want to get up and enjoy doing it and enjoy learning.
Thank you for that. I just need to encourage everyone who's going to either listen to this podcast, watch this video on social or on my website next week. We'll repurpose this as a podcast next Thursday. You have to listen intently, and you have to realize that apprenticing is going to be where we need to be. Think about people that are electricians and plumbers and engineers, and they're also proud to be in a journeyman's program. Why has our industry walked away from something like that? Maybe over the years it was so easy. Points, condensers, cap, wires, done. Today it's completely different. There's so much you have to know, deep information that you have to know, constant training you have to know. It's time for apprentices, and if we don't start, we're never going to meet the demand that I believe is going to be required to fix people's cars. Every apprentice program needs a mentor. Bryan, you are mentoring inside of Parkway, an important position. And let me ask you, you're probably not the most senior guy there. And the point is that the most senior guy at your place doesn't necessarily become the mentor.
Well, that's true. I would say I'm probably I've been here the longest between any of the other techs. It's almost been 12 years. And there's a
So
guy
you
that
are the
came.
senior guy.
There's a guy that came maybe 3 or 4 months after I did. He's the only other one that's been here almost 12 years. So there is a lot of loyalty and dedication to Parkway and serving Parkway. And this is just another way that I could do that. But you're absolutely right. It 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 doesn't have to be a senior tech or the lead tech, the most gross in billing. It needs to be the right person, and there's some work in identifying the right apprentice or the a right mentor.
Okay. Well, let's dig a little deeper while you just mentioned that. We can get to the whole apprentice program, but you just put a hanging cliff in front of us. Got to have the right person, the right mentor. Explain that one to us.
Well, hopefully it would be a mentor that's in your organization that's already worked with you for several years. So you know their attitude, you know their quality of work, and you know their passion and what drives them to do the job. So Mike got all of us together for a dinner one night and just kind of threw all this information out there for us and just kind of wanted to see who would take hold of it and who was interested in it, and went through the paperwork, maybe gave him some more feedback on what could work different or change. And out of that, 5, 6 people, he ended up choosing me. And I'm pretty thankful that he chose me. This has been a great learning experience for me personally, just to grow and be able to train other people the way I would say the way I was trained when I started.
Bryan, I've always known this, that when you teach, you learn. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone that I've worked with, you learn something different through each one, even as it progresses through the 2 years. It's a constant learning of other people's attitudes, the way they perceive your attitude, the way they learn, whether it might be a little slower in certain areas, whether it's brakes or electrical or drivetrain, whatever it may be. And I have to learn to tweak the way I communicate in those areas depending on how quick they retain that information.
Got it. Got it. Elijah, Bryan was your mentor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On a scale of, no, I'm only kidding. How was it to have someone working with you side by side, and going through the training and meeting all the requirements to be able to lean on Bryan?
It's not really like I can compare it to going through a trade school or anything like that, but because I didn't have that experience. This was, I graduated high school and went straight into the apprenticeship program, just fresh into it. So
Stop
Okay.
for a minute. I want that to sink in for everybody. Okay, everybody understand. Elijah said, I didn't go to trade school. That's okay. 2 years of hands-on mentoring, training, meeting requirements, probably more hands-on than any trade school may give you. You'll get the theory from the mentor, from the training, and then you go put it to practical use every day. Out of high school, skilled trades, apprentice program at Parkway, an ASE certified technician here in front of us. So I just need to make that point, because I'm not sure that everyone in our industry realizes that, where the start of finding a candidate can come from.
Well, let me add one thing. Master certified technician before he graduated.
Thank you for fixing that, Bryan. I didn't quickly look at my cheat sheet to see that, and you're absolutely right. And big congrats to you. I mean, would you mind telling us how old you are, Elijah?
21.
21. Now, there's some 45-year-olds who've been working in the industry 25 years that aren't A1 Master Tech certified. just
sir.
not. So congratulations for that. And that's a big part of the apprentice program is
Yes, sir.
you talk about being if you can pass that, I guess we've done our job in at least training you most of the way, right?
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let's go back to out of high.
Okay.
I'm sorry I interrupted you,
No,
but you were
that's
telling
fine.
the story out of high school. Did Mike Davidson approach you? I mean, tell me
Yes,
how it
sir.
works.
So, I mean, just a little backstory. I was raised on a farm, and we had some customers, and one of our best customers, she asked me what I wanted to do, and I told her I wanted to be a technician. And she said, well, I have somebody you need to talk to. If you want to be in the automotive industry, I take my car to Parkway. You need to talk to Mike Davidson. So I spent maybe 30, 45 minutes on the phone with him, and really the rest is history. I heard all about the program, and I just knew that just from that short conversation that was what I wanted, that I didn't want to go to a school and, be in a classroom. I wanted the one-on-one training with a master certified technician. And that, after going through the program, I can't say that I can compare it, but I can tell you that I can't imagine anything better than this program to get you through quickly.
I want to come back later in the show, and I do want to discuss how much debt you're not carrying,
right,
having gone through this, because I think
For
that's
sure.
a critical piece. Rex, a similar story out of high school into a couple of years and then into the apprentice program?
Yeah, I started at working at a Valvoline instant oil change, but that's not really mechanical repairs. It was more quick service, and I liked doing it, and found a job at McNeil's Auto Care, and just started growing my tool collection. And the apprentice program, it was great because you can get that hands-on experience and get a paycheck at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
When you started, you were the first person in the in McNeil's, which is now the Napa program, by the way, everyone, and of course, Mike Davidson has a Department of Labor, Federal Department of Labor approved apprentice program. So we're here talking to people that were in the impotence of these two really great apprentice programs, which means that it's not difficult for anyone to start. If you were with Napa, it's a piece of cake. If you're not, then you can absolutely join the one that Mike has. He's written a book about it. He's got every sheet. Rex, let's talk about, I want to dig into the training a little bit. What's the discipline for training? Did you have to do any work in the evenings?
Yeah. So the apprenticeship, it was hands-on work, and there was also curriculum taught through Napa, their training programs. You would have different stages. Ours is set in 9 stages where you go through, and they have certain requirements. And also at the end of each stage, you would get an assessment, whether you're capable of doing the repairs laid out in that stage. The training, there's tests and ASEs that can go along with each stage. And so it was a good mix of both hands-on and learning on your own, learning through Napa, and it all kind of comes together to help you out.
Elijah, did you go to any leader-led classes, in the Little Rock area? And what was the mix between online training that you did and that?
I did everything. We went to all the Napa classes that they offered. There were a couple other classes that weren't Napa that we went to. But I would say that the bulk of the training was through the bulk of the after hours training was through the textbook and online, videos and tests and stuff like that. But a little bit of everything for me.
So you got paid while you were becoming an apprentice. You had to go home and maybe not go out with the gang or
right.
or sit and do a video game or
right.
some kind of social networking, and you invested in your career. Correct. And no one was looking over you and saying you had to do this or not. You had to do it. You had to meet these certain thresholds. Yes.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No problem with that.
Mm-mm.
Why? I mean, are you just naturally built-in responsible person, or at the end of the day, you says this could be a fabulous career I could have.
I'd like to say a little of both.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Like I said, I wake up every morning and I'm just happy to go to work on cars. I love it. And, to get through the apprentice program, you have to be a little bit farsighted with that kind of thing. You have to see that the more you learn, the quicker you learn. One, the more money you'll make. Two, the less frustrated you'll be on cars because you'll understand them a lot better. And you gotta see that end goal to get your training done. Sometimes, you break a bolt, you spend an hour getting it loose. You're just sick and tired of cars when you get home, but you still gotta train and get better. So you're not going to be able to stop everything, but the better you are, the better your knowledge base, the better things are going to go.
A scenario. Each of you own your own shops. Work with me on this scenario. And you want to start building your own technician team. Where would you go out and look for an apprentice?
Who wants to start?
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. Well, I would call Mike Davidson and I'd let him give me all of his very valuable information. If you can go to a guy that's even written a book about apprenticeship, then he's the right one to give you all the information as far as, going to schools or calling colleges or whatever you need to do as far as getting in contact. I would say for me, because I know him, he's the one I would go to get all of that information.
Okay, but if you own your own shop, you're going to take on Mike's apprentice program or the Napa program. You have it. It's here. Now I've got to backfill my program. I need to find an apprentice or two to come on board. Where do I go look? We're trying to teach the industry from your perspective. Where can they find the candidates to go through your apprentice program?
Well, and I would hire Mike through his program to give me that information. So I would look at doing something like we did with Elijah. I know he came to us from like a referral from someone else, but I would be looking at the school district and see how can I contact the schools and see if they have programs or see if they have kids that are interested in a career path with our industry. I mean, maybe I could go that route first. I would want to get someone that is passionate, maybe does this as a hobby with their dad, and kind of start from there.
It's amazing. Thanks, Brian. It's amazing. Rex and Elijah, he kind of mentions high school, but do the counselors really get how critically important and the skills you need to do to be a technician today?
Well, it's interesting you say that. So Riverton High School, they actually came to us and said, hey, we have our automotive program. We want to put you in a position where you can train someone so they're getting hours. And basically we had a high school student come and job shadow me for probably a good 5-6 months. And he learned and he was able to see what's it like being a technician. And I thought that was great because, working with the school district, we're getting people with the right attitude. That's probably the most important thing with an apprentice is finding someone who's willing to learn and go through it,
Have you all heard a recurring theme? It's called attitude. Elijah, I want to take your take on this in just a second. I need to, again, give high fives to our great supporters. Is your marketing company sharing the same vanilla social media posts for you that they do for every other shop? Well, that's not how Sharp Marketing Pros does business. They believe that each shop is unique with its own story. Contact them today on the web at shopmarketingpros.com. And Shopware's contactless service, important today, is key to keeping your bays full while remaining 6 feet apart. Shopware's completely digital workflow will wow your customers and keep profits up. Tara from Topol Service Center, she said recently, thank God for this amazing cloud-based software during this difficult time. Thank you, Carolyn, and hashtag Team Shopware. Book a demo at getshopware.com. Hey, team. This has been great so far. Elijah, I'd love to find out from you, where would you set out to find an apprentice to join your company?
I mean, I really do like, what Brian said with going to a high school and what Rex said, because, you're getting the young guys that are just looking for, they don't have any bad habits, I guess is what I'm saying. So you can train them. They're, usually young people learn quicker, easier. They're going to have, the physical ability, because this is a very physically demanding job. It's a lot harder than I think a lot of people give it credit for. You go home every day exhausted.
Can you imagine a 50-year-old technician who's been doing this for 40 years or 30 some years? Imagine that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they exist. I know that. I
know they are.
They can
yeah,
do it.
I know they're there. Hey, would you guys ever think, as shop owners, remember we're role playing, you guys are shop owners now, would you ask your customers, hey, you know anybody, niece, nephew, son, daughter, is so good with their hands? Yeah, they said, Mom, Dad, I don't want to be a lawyer or a doctor. I want to work with my hands. Did you ever think we've got this great apprentice program here? Would that be an ask?
Yeah, I would say so. You would hope that it would go well, because you don't want to burn a bridge if it doesn't work out with the customer. But yeah, I mean, it's a possibility.
Okay, it doesn't go well. I just love what he just said. I mean, is that a risk that you would bring on an apprentice? Any of you have any experience where an apprentice came on and it just didn't work out?
No, of course not. I've gone through a couple that I would say their mind was in the right place. They thought they could do this because maybe they tinker on cars as a hobby. But as far as trainability, they weren't trainable. They weren't open enough for the information. And granted, it's a lot of information in a short time frame. I mean, we're talking about 2 years for you to learn a career and not necessarily become a master at the end, but at least have some ASEs under your belt. So the course is very strict, very tough to get through. And if your mind's not in it, like if you don't have a passion for it and a drive for the career, if you don't love what you do, it's just not going to work. I can't force it on you.
How soon into it, Brian, did you see? Was it 2 or 3 months? Was it 6 months?
Yeah, you can tell within the first few months, 3 to 4 months, you kind of get a grasp on how quick are they picking this up. And if it's not that quick, maybe I need to adjust on how I'm training them. Maybe they need help in other areas to kind of bring them along a little bit quicker. But I would say if there's a struggle and it's just not working out, then it's almost better for both of us to have that conversation and see how they feel about how they're progressing through it.
Elijah, did you was there a point in time where you said, hey, this is pretty tough stuff?
Probably the first couple of weeks. I mean, to Brian's point of teachability, I came in kind of as that person that did it as a hobby, and we never took our cars anywhere. We always did everything ourselves in the driveway, whatever. And I kind of thought that I was going to come in and know what was going on and be ready for it, and boy, was I wrong. I mean, you have to be, you can't think that you know everything coming in, because I can guarantee you that you don't. I don't care how long you've been working on cars. If you don't do it every day, and if you don't have that deep knowledge that you have from doing it every day and working on, every single make and model, you don't know everything. So you have to keep that humility about you and that desire to grow and learn, to make it through the program. And I think that's how you're teachable, is if you realize that you're not gonna know everything, and there's always more to learn.
Got it. Hey, Rex, what do you love about mentoring?
I think it's fun just because you get to help someone out, and it's rewarding sharing your experience with someone else, passing it on. And there's always challenges. I mean, I don't think there's any perfect trainer or apprentice by any means, but everyone's different, and helping someone where they may struggle, it's at the end of the day, the company's getting more money and you're helping someone grow their career. So for me, it's really rewarding seeing them go from A to Z.
I remember Pete McNeil and Jake Sorensen, who is, I think, your shop manager, said that he was so amazed when the apprentice program started. The rest of the technicians seemed to have a completely different attitude to ASE certifications.
Yeah. I think their ASE certifications are just great for assessing where you're at. And, you may take the test and you may fail. I know I didn't pass every one of them the first time I took it, but Elijah, I think that's great that you got that at age 21. It's really impressive. And it's something that you just work towards. And once you get it, it's really rewarding when you become a master tech. So.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any comments on that? You're all good with it. Brian, in the case of in the case of Rex being a mentor, he of course isn't the senior person at the shop. Do you see value, since he's been through the apprentice program, that he would be being the mentor of the next apprentice?
Oh, absolutely. If it's actually really cool for him to go from an apprentice to a mentor, and I don't know how long that span of time was, but for him to have the experience of going through the same course that he's now teaching, I think that's an incredible edge for him in his ability to teach that same course.
Thank you. Rex and Brian, being both mentors, any difficulty in getting your current apprentice to get the work done?
You can go first, Rex.
Right now, I'm pretty fortunate. The apprentice that I'm working with, he has a lot of motivation. He's willing to learn more. He's always pushing it to the next step. And you could tell, I mean, especially going through the COVID age, that's hard on everyone right now. And I think just the fact that we're able to go to work, a lot of people can't. And I think Pete was saying we spend more time at work than we do with our families, and it's something that we need to appreciate, that we have a job right now. And I think Jason, he's my apprentice. He does a great job, and he's definitely appreciative that he's able to come to work, as am I, Jake, you guys, I'm sure. And there's struggles, but nothing that can't be fixed. I think there's going to be problems because they may do a repair. I remember one time he left a fuel line loose and it came off during it on the customer. Car got towed back in, and he thought he was going to get fired that same day. And it was a mistake. It happened. We got through it, and stuff like that. It'll happen. No one's perfect, but it's all about how you resolve that and the training to make it better for the future.
Elijah, did you make any mistakes?
Oh, I sure did. Yes, sir.
Brian, you're a Senior Tech, ever make any mistakes?
Of course.
Probably 2 today already.
I don't know if I go that far.
All right, okay. But is that part of the learning curve, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm. I
Gotta
think
been there.
dealing with those mistakes and how you go about them really shows who you are as a technician, and how, making mistakes hurts. We're pretty, proud of who we are and what we do and how good at we are what we do. And when you make a mistake, that's a blow to you and your professionalism. So you have to use that when you make mistakes as motivation. You can't be a quitter in the apprenticeship program. You gotta kind of be tenacious about it, and that the mistakes just have to motivate you to not make that mistake again. If that requires changing a process or just having a better quality control, whatever that is, you can't let that beat you down, but you have to also take it seriously at the same time.
I am so impressed with all of your answers. I can't tell you. I thank you so much. Hey, look at Shopware knows that now more than ever, you're focused on bringing cars through your bays safely and efficiently. Now, Shopware's shop management system offers a completely contactless workflow. Your customers can review, approve, and even pay for the repairs right from their smartphone. Request a demo at getshopware.com. And when someone searches for a shop, who are they finding? Your competitors? Well, it should be you. The good people over at Shop Marketing Pros know how to drive website traffic and make Google work for you on the web at shopmarketingpros.com. Hey, team. I want to wrap this up. I don't want to make it too long because I think you nailed the essence of Apprentice Stories right from the words, the mouths of you guys who are actually mentoring and have been apprentices. I do want to go around the room and ask you to offer any additional advice to any shop owner, to any person who wants to either build, develop, or participate in an apprentice program. But I want to talk about debt. You go to college for 2 years, you're going to have some debt.
Mhm.
Even if you go to a local community college, you may not have room and board, but you're still going to have some debt. Rex, any heavy debt coming out of this program?
No, I mean, I was fortunate enough to buy the tools that I needed. I think one thing about going to college is you may have to take classes that you're paying for that, they may not help you be a better mechanic, possibly. And you're still going to have to pay that student debt back. Whereas going through the apprenticeship, I knew which tools I would need to acquire to do my job faster. And I spent my money in the right places, I guess you could say that. And I was fortunate enough, McNeil's and Napa, they bought a toolbox for when I graduated. So that was really cool. And I think one thing about the apprentice program, it's just a great path, and it avoids all the debt. And if you're going into the mechanic industry with a lot of debt, you're not going to be able to afford a lot of tools. You may be struggling just to pay your debt back.
Again, off the charts, your wisdom team has been great. Did you hear what Rex said? He said, oh my God, I got a toolbox at graduations. Think of the creativity you can do as an independent business person to build all kinds of incentives as your apprentice reaches certain milestones. Wow, great. Thank you for that, Rex. Elijah, any debt?
No, sir. Not even to the Snap-on man, like Rex is saying. He really stole what I was going to say. Through our apprenticeship program, I got to use Brian's tools for the first few months, and really, like he was saying, Rex was saying, spend the money where you need it, and what you're going to be using, what you need. And I know, like, coming out of a trade school or something, then Snap-on gives you like 50% off or something crazy like that. And you just go on and you're like, well, that looks cool. Let me get that. And then you end up with, $10,000 worth of tools you can't use. And that doesn't happen with this program.
Wow. Brian, any final words from you, sir?
Well, let's say I play devil's advocate on the debt. I would say even if this program, whichever program you decided to choose and run with for the apprentice, even if it costs the same amount for any other education at a school, a 2-year college, you're hands down in a better position when you come out of an apprenticeship program versus that 2-year college, because I had that experience of college, and I dropped out after probably a year and a half. It just wasn't structured right. I went to an automotive technology, and we did training in the classroom setting, but then in the shop, it was not based on what our training was on that day. It was geared towards whichever teacher's car was broken down, or the shop, the instructor's race car, or something. It wasn't structured to where we could learn theory, learn this book work, and then go and apply it. We didn't get to apply it to anything. So I would say, even if you got into a position where debt was an issue with these programs, you're light years ahead of any school. I mean, if I came out of that school, I never would have been ASE certified. And you look at Elijah coming out of this 2 years later as a master tech, he can go to any shop he wants. You're not going to get that from a school. He can be a tech at any other shop. Whereas I would have been a loop tech for however many years. Probably like Rex's situation, where he was a loop tech for a couple years. I was a loop tech. So I would say the apprenticeship program is far better outcome versus a school outcome, because it's real world work.
Thank you. Bryan Stafford, Parkway Automotive, ASE certified L1 advanced, and currently mentoring at Parkway. Rex Lee, McNeil's Auto Care, working as a mentor, first graduate of the McNeil Apprentice Program. Any final words, Rex?
Well, I would like to say thanks for having me on. And I think, if you embrace the apprentice program and you spend the time to make it work for you, it's going to pay for itself. Definitely.
Always great to have you guys on. I mean, please don't be bashful. You got an idea, let's get back on this show. And Elijah Pierce from Davidson's, recent graduate of the apprentice program. Any great words of advice for our audience, Elijah?
I would just say to the shop owners, if you're trying to add top tier technicians to the industry, then apprenticeships are the way to do it. Real world one-on-one experience, and you're going to, you pick a good apprentice and a good mentor, you're going to have a good outcome. And that's the way to do it.
Wow. You guys, Rex, Elijah, mature beyond your years. I wish you all kinds of great success. Bryan, thank you for being such a great mentor over there at Parkway. Now, so what stops you from trying to build an apprentice program in your shop? And I'm speaking to you, Mr. Business Owner, who is, the majority of who my audience is. What stops you? A program? It's done. It's there. Department of Labor approved, and you can work with your state to get grant money. You need to find a candidate? Okay, you can make that every excuse in the world, but I heard a great thing where the high school people reached out to McNeil's and said, hey, we may have someone here for you. Let's shadow something. You can't sit in your own world and say, can't find anybody. You have to recruit. No different than trying to find yourself a master tech to come to work for you. And time. Well, I think you have to commit to the time. And, think about how much time you spend trying to hire a technician, where over the course of a 2-year program, very inexpensively, you can actually hire an individual. And who says you can't start one and then a year later start another and a year later start another, while you're strategizing how to build your great company because you want to put on some more bays? Well, how are we going to be able to handle it? Well, it's like putting a seed in the ground, fertilizer, and some water, and presto, if you do it right, a few years later, you got a big oak tree. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a great weekend. Town Hall Academy, Apprentice Stories. See you.